Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy rivalry week to everybody. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I didn't do a segment on what I'm thankful for, but just as a quick reminder that life is so much more than the things that we go through on a daily basis. I'm extremely thankful for my family. First and foremost, that's who I do it for. I'm very excited, being a father. I have a 2-year-old boy that I love very, very much, and I'm thankful for him. Mostly, he is my joy. He is the reason why I do it. And I'm also thankful for the little things, my job, my car, having a place to live. IE Sports Radio, obviously, I'm thankful for. And and so on and so on. This week, I'm thankful for Rivalry Week here for college football. Of course, football is a fundamental part of my life and plays a big role every week, every day, in all honesty. And, so those are some of the things that I'm thankful for coming off of a wonderful Thanksgiving. I put on a couple extra pounds, so I'm feeling pretty good in that department at least. And, hopefully I'll be feeling better in a later department as the Gators take on the Noles tonight for the rivalry week. But we'll get to that when we get to that. First things first, shout out to Liberty Manor. It's where I do my community service, and it's a place for the vets. So shout out to all the vets, of course, and, guys listening out there. I really appreciate the support and the love. My alma mater, guys, I've been following, TBT really since out of high school, realistically, and we were, making a run for state this year, and we were able to upset our arch nemesis, Armwood, on the road last week, but this week, unfortunately, we fell. I believe it was to Orlando Jones, so congratulations to them for winning their game and moving on to the regional finals as they get ready to prepare for state. Tampa Bay Tech, good job, guys. Just, heartbreaking loss, but we'll sniff, a state championship one day. We will, and we're close. So just, great season, guys, and good luck next season. Hopefully we'll be able to bring it home, with another year of experience under our belt. So that's what's going on there, guys. Let's go ahead and mosey on into what I have for you guys, starting with the NFL as usual. Now the NFL, for the record, I always start with the NFL because I feel like that's the one that really gets a lot of people's attention. Let's be fair, right? We all have a team that we're biased towards in the NFL, and I feel like we get a little too biased for our team, so I always feel like it's the most, eventful sport, to say the least. I mean, of course, who doesn't watch the Super Bowl, even if it's just for the halftime show, right? So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and move on to what I have for you guys coming out of there, which starting with the Bucks, I hate to say it like this, but the losingest team in Florida this year so far. I mean, of course, things could change, but we're running out of time for change to happen. And with that being said, the Bucks with a 4-6 record, they definitely don't look like the class of Florida. Let's just call it like what it is, guys. Tampa Bay Bucks are a far cry from what they were a few years ago when they were contending for a Super Bowl, playing against the best teams the NFL had to offer and winning most of those games. Let me just tell you, it was a beautiful time to be alive and to be a Bucks fan, but right now we're back into the norm, I guess you could say. And I'm not saying norm with a loser's mentality. I'm saying norm because, guys, this is how the franchise started. This is where the franchise was, 5-6 years before we won our first Super Bowl. This is where the franchise was before Tom Brady got here, and clearly where we have returned to now that Tom Brady has gone. For those of you who do not believe that Tom Brady is the system, guys, allow me to tell you, as somebody who followed Tom from his Patriot days into his Tampa Bay days, Tom Brady, without the shadow of a doubt, is the difference. I personally guarantee you we would not be 4-6 right now on the season if he was quarterbacking, okay? That much I can guarantee you. Now then, that we've got that out of the way, the loss to the 49ers didn't hurt that bad, okay? Last year's loss to the 49ers, horrific, okay? 35-7, terrible game. Ugh. Last week was a lot easier to handle, okay? First and foremost, we doubled the score that we put on the 49ers last year, which is actually kind of a big deal because that 49ers defense is scary good. Fred Warner's the best linebacker in football, so, there's that. Also, the Niners didn't do as much offensively. The total for the end of the game, not for halftime, but the end of the game was 27, okay? So we gave up, too many points there, a touchdown over what we're supposed to be giving up in theory, and we were about a touchdown under what we're supposed to be scoring. That's something that I believe can be rectified. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be rectified with Todd Bowles at head coach. And that's the real reason why I kind of took the approach that I did, because, guys, there's this problem brewing in Tampa, and I think the problem in Tampa isn't the talent. It's not Baker Mayfield. The lack of a good offensive line is part of it, and the defense being so injury prone without any depth is also a big issue, but I really feel like those things could be handled better if we had better decision making at the top. I think we have a lot of talent on this offense, and Baker has shown that, yeah, he'll make some mistakes every now and again, but what quarterback doesn't, and that he's been able to rebound and play pretty well for the most part. Unfortunately, against top-tier defensive lines, our offensive line is nowhere to be found. Tristan Wirfs was a little banged up last week, so that's only going to make things a lot harder, especially when you add the accumulation of injuries that Tampa Bay has suffered over the last 2 weeks, including a very, very banged-up secondary that wasn't very good to begin with, to say the least. So I'm looking forward, actually, to seeing these young corners, these young people that we have come in and play, and see if maybe they can help us shave off some cap space, because in the offseason there's going to be an overhaul, or at least there needs to be an overhaul, which is going to include a lot of changes. I don't know if that's what will take place, but I believe that Tampa Bay is in a position where there's no real other decision but to start getting rid of these loose ends, people who are not playing up to what they can and could play up to, and put people in there that want to do it and that are going to learn, they're going to understand the system, they're going to do their thing, and they're going to do it properly, right? Because that's what we're lacking, is execution. We have the talent on both sides of the ball, but the execution, it's like a 0 out of 10, guys. Like, I'm just very disappointed with a lot of execution, especially from some of these veteran players who I'll mention and talk about in a minute. Now then, the Buccaneers are going to go see the Colts. The Colts don't have a much better record than Tampa Bay. They're coming in at 5-5 record. That game's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Of course, I'm going to be watching it. We'll see what happens. There are a lot of people picking Tampa Bay. I don't know how comfortable I feel picking Tampa Bay. Like I said, too many injuries right now. Some of the players that are ruled out for the game are Lavonte David, Carlton Davis, and Jamel Dean, just to name a few. There are a bunch of others that are hurt. Like, they're probably going to play through injury, which I don't necessarily recommend. But those three names on paper are a big deal. I'll be 100% honest with you. Carlton Davis is not a big deal. As somebody who watched Carlton, I've talked about this last week, since he was in Auburn, he's played his worst football of his entire football career this year. I have never seen him look worse. And we just paid him, okay? Jamel Dean, on the other hand, has just been injured. He's very good at his position, very fast, very, very ball savvy, but he's been hurt. He's just been hurt, and he's hurt all over his body. Concussions, lower body, just there's too much going on there. Lavonte David, on the other hand, I believe his injury was a leg injury, a knee injury to be more specific, and I know he's going to be out for this week, but I don't think that the timetable is too long for his return. I think that he should be okay, but he's getting a little bit up there in age as well, guys. Now he's an 11-year vet, I believe, 11-year vet. So, one of the longest tenured Buccaneers on this team, and you knew at some point in time that was going to start to catch up to him a little bit. So here's hoping the best for Lavonte, for Carlton, and Jamel, but it'll give us a chance to see some of these young guys play. We're going to get to see Servassier Dennis come in and play in place of Lavonte David, which is going to be very interesting because Servassier Dennis is a rookie with a lot of upside. He's shown a lot of good things on tape so far from what we have seen, so I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, the rest of the guys will have to eyeball, see what happens. Following game is going to be against Carolina, guys. The reason why I mention this is a big deal because Carolina's sitting at a 1-9 record right now, currently arguably the worst team in the NFL at the moment. That game is going to be Sunday, December 3rd at 4:05 p.m. They decided to put two bad teams in a late game. I'm sure, I don't know why, but they probably just had it that way and couldn't move it, so, and things like that happen, scheduling conflicts and whatnot. Just keep that in mind, though, guys, because I think that this will be a tall tale sign. These next two games, obviously we got 5-5 Colts, so not a very good team to begin with, and then 1-9 Panthers the following week. Guys, if the Bucs lose these two games, I'm pretty sure we say goodbye to Todd Bowles, perhaps after that game against Carolina. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is very simple. The drastic differential between head coaching as performed by Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles is key here. Todd Bowles, at best, is a defensive coordinator, which he was outstanding while he was doing under Bruce Arians. But let's just be honest. Making the big choices, making the big calls is not for him, nor has he done a good job with it. And I support Todd. I'm a Todd Bowles fan, okay? So it's really, really bad. Really, really bad right now. And I just wouldn't be surprised to see this whole thing come down. And I would go out of the way and I would get rid of Todd earlier for two reasons. One, the decision-making can't get much worse than it's already been. Two, okay, you want to be able to show what talent you have so that way the next head coach comes in and wants to do the job. I'm not saying that Todd didn't want to do the job, but it's clear that he's losing what he has besides just the locker room. I mean, obviously now the players may not show it, but that locker room is going to waste because a lot of those guys were on that Super Bowl team from a few years ago. And let's just be clear, we dwarf, okay, what we once were. All right, and that's a problem. So that's what's going on in Tampa Bay, guys. Like I said, should the Bucs lose to the Panthers, I don't see how Todd Bowles finishes the season as head coach unless the Glazers just have a soft spot for him. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to seeing what changes will take place as we get ready to head into the latter part of the season and then into the off season. I don't see the Bucs making the playoffs this year. They've just been too shaky in games that they should be winning. And that right there, I think, is key because if you can't win against good teams or even bad teams, how are you going to play against great teams? That's my logic there, guys. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars now. Jacksonville, on the other hand, is doing very, very well, right? Now, obviously, they didn't play well against the 49ers 2 weeks ago, the score of that game being 34-3. They bounced back this past week, beating the Titans in a division game, of course, which is also what matters. Now, I know the Titans aren't playing good football, and that's no excuse for the Jags, but they still won 34-14, which is a very good job as the offense started to click on all cylinders again. Run game, pass game, everything was really just opening up the way it should. And I'm looking forward to seeing them return in the next game and play good football as well. The problem is the team that they have to play was the team that beat them before they went on their 6-game win streak, I think it was, in the Texans. Okay, so here's the thing about the Texans. Tampa Bay played the Texans, had one of the best games of the season between those two teams. And the truth of the matter is, I said this coming out of the draft. You guys can go look back at older shows and you'll hear me say this. Okay, CJ Stroud is the most quarterback-ready college football player a year ago in the draft coming out. Okay, I was saying that before the college football season even ended. Why? Because when you watch enough college football, you can see the guys who they're going to start on Sundays. They're not just going to come in. They're going to start. You know what I mean? They're going to win the position, whatever position it is. They're going to show just how valuable they are and how irreplaceable they are. And that was something that CJ Stroud really did. I know he didn't have the best pro day, but I wasn't looking for him to have the best pro day. I was just looking for him to do the little things. Because in the NFL, great quarterbacks do the little things right all the time. I'd rather have a quarterback do the little things right all the time than a splashy quarterback do things great 50% of the time. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so take that in consideration. Now, CJ Stroud, without the shadow of a doubt, is the rookie of the year so far, okay? And I think he's going to go down as rookie of the year. Even if he should be, God forbid something should happen to him before the end of the season, in my opinion, he's rookie of the year. With that in mind, this is loading up to be a very good game. Jacksonville versus the Texans. Jacksonville's arriving on a 7-3 NFL record so far. They've played some pretty good football. They've beaten some decent teams. But realistically speaking, we're going to have to see them perform well against better teams because the performance against the 49ers was just terrible. Now, real quick game break, guys. I am watching the Washington State ball game. Michael Penix Jr. just threw an interception. More specifically, he threw a 50-50 ball and the defender came up with it, so I can't necessarily call that a bad play. But just keep that in mind if you're watching the game. Washington State did not defer, so they took the ball to start and they got the ball right back on the second play of the second half. Big deal going on there in that Washington State game, guys. Now, back to regular scheduled programming. With the Jags arriving this 7-3 record, facing a 6-4 Texans team that has just been on fire the last few weeks, okay? Just absolutely burning it up, ripping it up. This should be the late game, really, honestly. That's what I personally think. I think it should be the late game. But we'll see what happens. You know, like I said, both these teams come in game difference. Winner takes control of the AFC South. And if the Texans win, they own the tiebreaker over the Jags. That's really a big deal. So we'll see what happens there. Go Jags. Unfortunately, like I said, you're running into C.J. Stroud and he's got those Texans believing, man. So that's going to be a really good game. Check it out tomorrow at 1 p.m. The next game after that will be against the Bengals. Regardless of what happens against the Texans, I just really see the Jags rebounding against the Bengals. The Jags have played pretty solid defense for the most part, except for against the 49ers, which you really can't play good defense against the 49ers because they have a tremendous run game. And any team with a tremendous run game is always capable of running the score up because it opens up play action and it opens up the slug OCs, just the slant and goes, the everything, screen pass, all that stuff really opens up when you have a tremendous offensive line, a tremendous running back. C-Mac looking like one of the best running backs in the league, which is pretty typical for him to begin with, regardless of what team he's on. So, Jags Bengals, like I said, Bengals coming into this game 5-5. That game takes place Monday, December 4th, 8:15 p.m. So guys, just remember, after tomorrow's games, Jags next game is going to be Monday Night Football. So primetime Monday Night Football, guys. So get ready for that if you want to see the Jags play. That should be, like I said, a decent game. Of course, the Bengals aren't a bad team, but the Jags with a lot more continuity and a lot less injury prone. You're hoping that it stays that way for them. But good luck, Jags. That's what's going on there. Now, Miami, on the other hand, is sitting at first place in the AFC. I don't know the last time that the AFC looked the way that it did, but just for reference, guys, the Fins are currently the number one team in the league with only the Ravens matching their record at an 8-3 record. Right after that, it's the 7-3 Jags. Okay? So two of the top three teams in football right now in the AFC specifically, all right, they are literally one game separating them, okay? One game separating them. So that's something that's pretty cool that's going on there. But like I said, Fins arriving in this week, 8-3. They were able to beat the Jets, take care of the Jets 34-13 ball game. Pretty much what you expect from them. 4-7 Jets really been struggling ever since Aaron Rodgers got injured fourth play of the season, first game of the season. And it's just really unfortunate to see what's going on there. The Jets are still fighting as they should in a division where, if you're able to beat Miami, you're in the discussion for the division. Obviously, the Patriots look terrible, and then the Bills are just they're I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe a moody person. Like that's pretty much the Bills remind me of, a moody person. Just somebody, I'm good, and then they're just sad in the corner the next minute because, well, just watch Bills football and you'll know where I'm coming from with that. Nonetheless, the Fins right now, best team in the AFC East, looking like one of the best teams in the entire AFC and currently sitting at number one. So good job, Fins. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Tua, just try to stay healthy and make smart choices because when you're making bad choices, that's when the team is bad. When you're making good choices, that's when y'all win. It's very simple, really. Defense for, Miami been playing pretty much lights out for the most part. Showed out another lights out performance there against the Jets. I know they... nobody was really expecting much, but hey, still a good division win. You got to win those division games. Now, the Commanders, all right, aren't doing too much better than the Jets, so obviously I'm going to expect that the, Fins kind of walk in there and just handle business against the Commanders. Commanders arrive in this game at a 4-8 record. That game's going to be Sunday, December 8th at 1 p.m. It's a good thing they made a 1 p.m. game. That game should be a wash. If Miami was ever going to put up 70 points again this season, this would be the team to do it against. Washington is just, they look terrible. I mean, I know Sam Howell is a rookie, but if that's any consolation to some of these other rookies in the way that they're playing football, it should go to tell you there's no excuse for this, right? So they need some help over there at Washington. I know they're sinking the ship, but hey, it is what it is. Good luck to them, but obviously Miami should go out there and wrap that up for a 9th win on the season. Guys, like I said, that game is going to be Sunday, December 3rd at 1 p.m. if you want to watch that game, and of course tomorrow's game against tomorrow's game, but they already beat the Jets. So with that being said, that's the next game to look out for. And like I said, currently first in the AFC. Only other team matching their record in the NFL right now is currently the Ravens. So, Miami's looking pretty good. Good job, Miami. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Same thing with you, Jags and Bucks. I hope you guys can pull it together and find a winner, too, because right now, sitting here at sub 500 does not look good for us. Guys, that's what's going on in the NFL in the state of Florida. Let's go ahead and get into our first break of the evening, and then when I get back, we'll go ahead and talk some NCAA, college football, and college basketball. I got some hockey coming your way, and we'll wrap it up with NBA basketball, yeah? Thanks for having it logged here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as always, it's brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's Taryn Rodriguez there, the right hand of IE Sports Radio. That man knows how to throw it down every week. You gotta check out that show if you're in the market for SoCal sports, guys. Have to. Well, guys, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host. And as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, guys. Washington starting to figure their stuff out there on defense. They had 3rd and 20, got off the field with a big sack, got the ball back somewhere around the 25-yard line. So go Washington. Tampa Bay Tech stand up, guys. Our boy is doing our thing. And hopefully he's going to bring this win home. Still 14-14 early in the third quarter, so in case you're watching that game. Anybody has the update for the Arizona State game, throw that in the comments, will you? I'm low-key an Arizona fan. I've been watching them play football all year, and I think they're the best 3-loss team in the country, and I can't wait to see who they play in a ball game. If Florida should beat FSU, I think that would be a great matchup, FSU versus Arizona, bringing the East and the West Coast together there. Now, speaking of college football, because it is Saturday, right, and there's one thing that we're going to do is college football, let's talk about what we got going on tonight. I'm going to go ahead and put the Noles and the Gators together in this segment since it's rivalry week and they are playing each other. A couple of things to note. All right, guys, so y'all want to pay attention to this next part right here because if you haven't been following, there's huge implications for Florida State in this game. Now, if you watch College Football Game Day morning, don't be surprised. Everybody picked FSU. If you watch SEC, Welcome SEC in the morning, this morning, you saw 3 out of the 4 picked the Gators. Now, the reason why that's a big deal is because this is a rivalry game, right? So, obviously, emotions are going to be high. Teams are going to be battling it out, playing tough football, maybe the toughest football they've played all year because, obviously, like I said, rivalry week. It is what it is. It's monumental. It's arguably the biggest week of the year for a lot of colleges. And this one is big for Florida State because Florida State's ranked 5th, and the only reason why they went backwards, okay, in my humble opinion, is due to the injury of Jordan Travis. What people have to understand is Jordan Travis was the glue that was keeping that offense together. He was the guy extending plays. He was the guy making it all happen. If you watched the game last week, it was a very unsatisfactory to watch injury for those of you who didn't see it. Jordan Travis did break the lower part of his leg or the upper part of his ankle. It was very, very unsettling to watch. And I watched it live when it happened, so I was already yelling like, oh, no, FSU, geez, guys, oh, my goodness. And that was kind of my reaction because I knew, regardless of what happened next week against North Alabama, which was a complete blowout, they have to play a Florida team, and then after they have to go play a Louisville team, who before today today was a one-loss team. But shout out to Kentucky for upsetting Louisville. If you guys didn't see that score, the ball game ended at 38-31. Kentucky upset of the number 10 team in the country. I suspect Louisville will stay somewhere around that mark, considering the Zoo currently is up there and they have 2 losses on the season, and they don't have a SEC championship berth at all. So, I wouldn't be surprised they keep that team up. I think Louisville versus the Zoo would be a tremendous ball game. You get us a New Year's Six or even a New Year's Day ball right there. Like, that would be pretty phenomenal, don't you think, guys? That would be a great game to put on. Just throwing some ideas out there. But again, the Gators-Noles game, huge, right? So because the Noles have to... Okay, actually, guys, real quick before I continue on, what's going on? Auburn is leading Alabama 24-20. Wow. Well, shout out to my dad. He called that. He said Auburn could upset Alabama, and it's looking like that's becoming more and more of a possibility. That's a crazy score right now for that ball game. Also, Arizona up 52-23 on Arizona State, just in case you guys are watching that team out west. Another team to pay attention to. Best 3-loss team in the country, guys. Now, the Noles have no losses this season. Like I said, being ranked 5th, the last thing they can afford to do is lose to a Gator team that's filling themselves, okay? Now, I get it. The Gators have been losing games, and we have. But one thing I will say is we're playing against pretty good competition, and we're playing pretty good football for having 11 freshman starters on the team. Here's the reason why I say that. Yes, Jaden Daniels went off on us, but we still put up 35 points, guys. Okay, now LSU's defense not that great. I get it, and they had help. Trust me, they had a lot of help. It was I love LSU, not more than my Gators, but I love LSU, and they played a dirty freaking game. Okay, so if they have to play a dirty game to put up the points that they put up against a Florida Gators team that we possess currently, imagine what's going to happen when our 5-star commit DJ Lagway gets here and a bunch of other players who are going to want to play with him gets here. Within a year or two, those scores are going to be flipping. Okay, I believe that. I personally believe that. I have to believe it. But get ready for that, guys. Now, if the Noles should lose this game, that would first knock them out of the college football playoffs for sure, right? And the reason is simple. If they can't beat Florida, what makes you think they're going to beat a Michigan or a Georgia team or even a Washington team right now? Now, Washington isn't playing the best football. I get it. But that's just today, all right? All they got to do is settle down, get into their rhythm, get back to playing their game, and they'll be successful. That's not something that Georgia or Michigan needs to do. They just do it. They just come out and do it. And that's something for you guys to take in consideration when talking about ball games leading into the playoffs, because in the playoffs, you can't have teams with injuries like that. All right? Now, not to be outdone by the Noles, the Gators also lost their starting quarterback, Graham Mertz, last week in a big boy run. Now for those of you who didn't see it, this run was different than the one that Jordan Travis took off on. Jordan Travis took off and he got bent backwards and his leg snapped, okay? It wasn't pretty, got carted off. That's how his season ended. Graham Mertz actually took the ball off left guard on 3rd and 8, I believe it was. 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9. Needed to get the first down or else pretty much ball game was over at that point. And he has to go against a linebacker and a defensive back, I believe it is, or a safety and a defensive back, and he actually trucks both of them, okay, and continues forward and then gets tackled shortly after that. Unfortunately, on that hit that he received, he also received a fracture in his collarbone, which would end his season. Obviously, that's a big blow for Florida because he's been our guy at quarterback. He's played phenomenal football, especially in the second half part of the year. Him and Ricky Parcells definitely developed an amazing chemistry between the two, especially as Ricky's now getting ready to close in on 1,000 yards receiving. If you haven't seen him, Ricky Parcells, probably the best wide receiver you haven't heard about this year in college football. Look for him to play on Sundays. But that leaves us with one Max Brown, the true freshman, to come in and start the game. Here's the thing. Max Brown, the kid has some skills. He's a baller, guys. He's actually a baller, and he's got some wheels. He can spin it a little bit. Tonight will be a great chance to really put him on the map, see what he's capable of doing, especially if in his first start as a college football player is to take down the 5th-ranked Florida State Seminoles. Would absolutely galvanize this team, especially head into the offseason. And, most importantly, it would get the Gators bowl eligible because for those of you who do not know, the Gators are 5-6. We are not bowl eligible until we get that 6th win, okay? At least on paper, we're not bowl eligible. There's always a possibility, that a 5-6 team will make it or, whatever have you. But you get what I'm saying, guys. We're going to want to win this game. A lot of people seem to believe that we can, that there's an upset on the horizon. I am one of those people who would also like to live in the real world. And the real world is Both of our quarterbacks are out, so this is a gimme game for anybody, but it's a rivalry game, which kind of takes the gimme out. So good luck to both teams. Go Gators. Just don't want to see any more nasty injuries on either side of the ball. Again, both of us losing our starting quarterbacks. It's a hard thing to deal with, guys, especially with the injuries that they suffered. Broken leg and cracked collarbone, fractured collarbone for Graham. So that game tonight, 7 o'clock start time, have to be, obviously, Florida Gators. FSU Seminoles account for 4 of the out of the last 25 national championship teams. The Gators and the Noles account for 4 of those championships, which is most likely the reason why that game got pushed to a later game. Now, Michigan-Ohio State was obviously going to be the game of the week, but they've accounted for 1 national title. Was it 1 or 2 national titles over the last 25 years? So you kind of see the numbers there. You kind of see what people are expecting and what they're going to be watching more specifically. That game is going to be at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at Steve Spurrier Field. So Gators are going to have the home advantage. It is the Swamp. It's one of the top 10 hardest places to play in the country. Don't at me, at your mother. It's the truth. If you haven't watched, Gator football, I invite you tonight, turn the game on. Don't look at the records. Just watch the game. Okay? If you've never seen Gator football at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium and Steve Spurrier Field up there in Gainesville, I'm telling you right now, this is your sign. Watch the game. It's not quite anything you've ever seen across the country. Nothing you'll ever see again. All right. Plus, we sing Tom Petty at the beginning of the 4th. Now, last week we played the Zoo. That's the 10th ranked team in the country. They were 9-2. They were a 9-2 team. That game ended a 2-point differential. The Gators gave themselves a chance to win, but the defense just couldn't hold it in. And unfortunately, that's just how that game ended. Like I said, just a sad case. But again, losing by 2 points to the number 10 team in the country, big deal. Okay, why? Because again, we're close, guys. We're close. All right, we're not quite the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, we're close. Michael Penix looks like he's about to launch it. Let's see where he goes with the football. He throws it away. He was outside the pocket getting a lot of harassment there. So it looks like they're gonna have to punt the ball back to Washington State. 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, guys. Noles, on the other hand, still have everything to play for. If they should finish with an undefeated season, that would be only their 3rd, I think, undefeated season in team history. Big deal for them, and also would give them the college playoff berth if they can beat Louisville, who was just upset by Kentucky earlier today. So there's the blueprint for Florida State. All they have to do is go out there and do it. And I suspect that if they should win the ACC championship game, that they should be a lock-in for the top 4. I don't see how they couldn't be, but they have to beat Florida first things first. And obviously, I want the Gators to win. Gators, again, have to win this game to become bowl eligible. If not, obviously, they won't be going bowling this year, which is a scary thing to take in consideration. The Gators have been bowl eligible for the better part of the last 3 decades, so just keep that in consideration. I think out of the last 30 years, we've missed 5 or 6 bowls, to be exact. Like, we've pretty much, been to a bowl since like the 80s, guys. So just keep that in consideration for the Gators. Again, Noles, on the other hand, regardless of what happens here tonight, should they go undefeated, they'll, make the top 4 cut. Should they not go undefeated, I'd love to see them against perhaps, a USC team or a Penn State team. You guys see where I'm going with this? Ohio State team. I would love to see the Noles play some of that top flight competition that's away from the ACC and away from the SEC, because let's be honest, they play inside the ACC and they usually play at least 3 teams, I think it is, a year in the SEC, because they have to play LSU, they got to play the Gators. I think they played somebody else in the SEC earlier this year. I can't remember who, but that's just something to take in consideration for them. Moving on, now that we've covered what's going on tonight for that Florida State, Florida Gators game, again, 7 o'clock if you're going to want to watch it. Right after the show is when it'll be coming on. The Canes, on the other hand, were able to win their rivalry game against Boston College to improve to 7-5 on the season for their final game of the season, and they are bowl eligible, so they will be going bowling at some point. Most likely they'll get a game before New Year's Day, depending on how things shape up with these last couple of teams. It would be pretty interesting to see who they play against. I don't think that Arizona would be a good team for them to play, because I believe Arizona would smash them with a lot more continuity, a lot more skill on both sides of the ball than that Miami team. I would love to see Miami play against a team similar to like Texas A&M or Virginia. Virginia Tech, my bad, not Virginia. Virginia Tech's the one, they're up 31-0 on Virginia. But you get what I'm saying. I would like to see them against a team that's where they are. I want to see a good ball game here. So that's something to take in consideration for the Canes. They beat Boston College. Boston College was already ball eligible at 6-6, but the score of that ball game was a final of 45-20. So, ending the season on a good note. for Miami was something to build upon come next year. Hopefully they perform well in the ball game. That'll help recruit more players to come play for Miami. They'll need it, but I just hope they don't take any of our players here at Florida. Like, just don't do that, guys, and we're good to go. With that, like I said, Kane's already ball eligible, and Boston College already ball eligible, so they won't play each other, but I look forward to seeing who those two teams play effectively. That's what's going on, though, in college football. Like I said, big game tonight, the game tonight. Bragging rights for Florida going to be on the line. We'll see what happens there. Go Gators. For those of you who aren't watching, BYU 3-point lead over Oklahoma State. The score of that game, 24-21, my bad. 10 minutes to go in that game. And, so a lot going on here in college football. It's rivalry week, so I'm going to be spitting out those scores to you, especially as we continue on to go down the line. But that's what's going on there in college football in the state of Florida. Let's go over to the NHL. Let's talk about another team that's actually been performing pretty well this year, and that's the Bolts. All right, guys. Now, I'm saying pretty well because I'm counting the draws the ties, but not as losses, right? And the reason why I don't count them as losses is because losses hurt more than wins help, right? It's a weird thing. Because you could be, like, I'm going to give you an example, guys. My apologies. I couldn't English there for a second. I'm going to give you an example. If the Finns and the Jags played right now, that game, if it wasn't close, would be because of Miami's offense, right? Miami's ability to create space on offense, to just run away with the ball game at any point in time, to outrun and to outscore their opponents. But yet there's only a game separating the two. Right? The Jaguars, they're in a bad division right now. And because their, division is bad, it's a lot easier for them to get wins, which is a lot less meaningful because they're not against solid teams, right? Meanwhile, Miami, who's played, they've played a little bit of everything. They play good teams, bad teams. They put up 70. They put up, 14 against the Chiefs a few weeks back. So, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're losing to good teams when they do lose, all right? And that's the significance of it versus the Jags, who just don't really do well unless the team's just bad, right? So that's something else to take into consideration. The Lightning, they're kind of playing like the Jags right now, but they catch fire when they catch fire, i.e. last night. This team was able to put up 8 scores, okay? 8 scores. One of our guys had the hat trick. Oh, God, what's his name? I dropped his name in my head just now, but that is kind of a big deal. The Hurricanes, are playing 11-8 is their record, so a couple of games over 500. They're not looking too bad as a team. But then with the Bolts, you look at their record, you say 10-6-5. What the heck is going on with that 5 there at the end, right? There's a lot of games that we don't really know. Did they win it, or did they just not lose it, right? So that's just something else to take into consideration with the Lightning. Nonetheless, being 4 games over 500 is a big deal. So congratulations to the Lightning. I just hope they're able to continue to catch fire and continue to outscore their opponents the way they have, but they have to tighten up on the defense, because they have been allowing teams to score at will at times, and that part gets a little scary, especially when I'm watching it in real time, right? Especially when watching it in real time. I look forward also to seeing what happens as we get closer to the middle of the season, because, mind you, this is a team that's been to 3 Stanley Cup finals and won 2 of them. So I'm hoping they don't run out of gas. Okay, I'm really hoping the Lightning don't just pull up and run out of gas like somebody pulling their hamstring on a 800. Okay, so that's something else for us to take a look at. We're sitting at 3rd in the Atlantic Division, and I'm hoping that improves soon. But again, you're gonna have to tighten up on the scoring and gonna have to continue to outscore opponents. But like this, 8-2 is woo. That's a baseball score, guys. So, good job, Lightning. Keep up what you're doing. Next game is going to be against the Avalanche. They're rocking a slightly better record than us with a 13-6 record. Guys, that game is going to come to you in the form of Monday, November 27th at 9 p.m. So get ready for that. I know there's already a lot to watch on Monday night. There's obviously going to be Monday Night Football between the Jags and the Bengals. And then obviously you're going to have Monday Night Hockey. That's going to be something else to look at. And obviously Monday Night Raw. And there's going to be basketball. So a lot coming at you Monday night. Get ready for that as we get ready to step our first foot into December and begin to get to the playoff hunt here for a couple of these pro sports, guys. That's what's going on in the NHL for the Lightning, guys, and also what's been going on in college football. Let's go ahead and get our second break of the evening, and then when I get back, we're going to go ahead and talk about what's going on in college basketball and NBA basketball as well. Actually, we'll go NBA basketball first and then college football and wrap it up with that. Guys, that's what's going on so far. Keep it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, guys. Your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the man, the myth, the legend, Larry B, over there at 3 and Out. That is the man that I model my show after, and I hope I'm making him proud, guys. But welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. All right, guys, let's talk NBA, all right? Let's talk about the Heat. Let's talk about the Magic. First things first, both of these teams' records sitting at a game apiece from each other. It was not the same way to start the season last year, guys. If you don't remember, the Magic struggled all season long. Miami struggled to put the wheels on at the beginning, but halfway through the season, they started to catch fire and figure out who they were, and they would continue to go on tear after tear after tear, which ultimately led to them facing the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals, which they would come up short and lose a 5-game series to the Nuggets, which at the time the Nuggets just had the best roster in all of basketball. The way that they were playing basketball was just completely unheard of and completely impossible to stop, especially when they were at home. So the Heat look like they're trying to return back to form, which is good. Now they're struggling right now, 2-2 over the last 4 games, so we're going to have to give them some space, let them catch fire again, all right? They've simmered down a little bit, but not to be concerned. We do have some basketball tonight, some Heat basketball tonight. That's going to take place at 6 p.m. So, well, more specifically, it started at 6 p.m. My apologies, guys. That game, I do not have the ability to watch it. I don't have the channel for it, unfortunately. I can still follow it on my ESPN app, but I am not able to actually watch the game. So, I can't give you the update. If anybody has the score of that game, please throw it in the comments, and I'll go ahead and mention it on the show. But the Heat are arriving in this game during the in-season tournament with a 10-6 record. Pretty solid record, 4 games over 500. That's what you like to see. Now, the Nets, on the other hand, 6-8, 2 games under 5. Not looking too good, but then again, that team's also kind of in a rebuild right now. They've lost a lot of the pieces that they once had that made them separate from other teams in the East and other teams in general just in the NBA. Like I said, Heat 2-2 in the last 4 games. This is a toss-up. This is a 50-50 ball game. The Heat did lose a player for the year, so that's going to hurt a lot. Unfortunately, the show must go on, right? So, good luck, Heat, in tonight's game. Go ahead and win this game. Improve to that 11-6 record if you can do that as you get ready to slide into the next team that you're going to be playing, which is also actually rocking an 11-5 record. That's going to come by way of the Milwaukee Bucks. That game will take place Tuesday, November 28th at 7:30 p.m. So, a little break after tonight's game, right? A little 2-day break for the Heat. And then then they'll pick it back up against the Bucks. So get ready for that again. Tuesday, November 28th, 7:30 p.m. If you want to watch some basketball on a Tuesday when there's not really much else to watch at any other time, that'll be a great game to watch. The Heat will either be at 10-7 or 11-6 for that ball game, and the Bucks will be rocking that 11-5 record. I think they might even play tonight, but I didn't go so far to see that. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like it'll be a good game come Tuesday. Now, they've been inconsistent the last couple of games, but they can build upon that, right? Like, you're missing a player, yes, but that's what we have depth for, right? Like, that's the point behind having 11 people on the squad instead of just, 5, right? Like, that matters. Like, it's a very important thing, so 12 people, whatever it is. You get what I'm saying. The point is this. The injuries shouldn't stop the Heat from playing basketball effectively, okay? Like, it shouldn't. Like, and I'm hoping that it doesn't, because they can't afford. Like, right now they're sitting at 4th in the East, okay? That's about as far back as you can be right now in the East when you have, like, look at the Magic, for instance. The Magic are 11-5. They're playing really good basketball, and it's coming behind good defense. You see what I'm saying? They just beat the Celtics. Guys, they just beat the Celtics. So if the Heat want to be in this conversation, they're going to have to start, acting like it doesn't matter what the roster says, and it only matters what able bodies are able to do what they need to do when they need to do it, guys. Okay? It's a lot smaller than football. A lot smaller than football. So, next man up, and they got to be ready to ball. Period. Just is what it is, guys. So, come on, Heat. Beat the Nets, and then beat the Bucks. Next up, Magic. All right, so I just said Magic, 11-5 record, playing tremendous basketball, sitting at second place in the East right now. They are the surprise NBA team of the season for sure. Like I said, 11-5. They're double 500 where they should be, or where you would have expected them to be. They're playing great basketball, starting behind great defense and a lot of continuity there, offensively speaking. This team is playing like a team. I said that last year for all of you guys who have been listening to the show faithfully. I'm pretty sure y'all remember I said, I feel like the Magic are there. They might need a year or two, to get to that point, but I really feel like they have the pieces in place. The question is, how fast can they mature? Right? That was pretty much always the question with Orlando, and it's looking like they're starting to mature right in front of our very eyes. Again, playing tremendous defense and allowing their offense to flow. Being great in transition is a big deal as well, and then getting to the free throw line and knocking those shots down. They were able to beat the Celtics, who are actually sitting at first in the East with a 12-4 record. That fourth loss coming by way of the Magic. By a 113-96 ball game. You guys know how I feel about basketball. Same thing I feel about football. If you want to win, you got to keep the team from scoring 100, and you got to score over 100. That's what the Magic have been doing. They've been following that recipe for success, and it's been successful. So keep it up, Magic. Keep doing what you're doing. Shout out to you, Dad. I know you love your Magic. There you go. Big ups to what they're doing out there in Orlando, and I just hope they can continue to do this as they are winners of 6 in a row. They are on fire, baby. So keep up the good work there, Magic. Keep doing what you're doing. Next game for the Magic is going to be tomorrow against the Hornets. That should be a gimme game. Hornets are arriving with a 5-9 record. One of the lowest teams in the NBA at the moment. Definitely not playing very good football. As Michael Penix Jr. drills one for the final play in the third quarter. 27-yard touchdown completion to put Washington over Washington State 20-14 headed into the fourth. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up, boys. But as I was saying, the Hornets game, that'll be tomorrow, 6 p.m. ball game. So tomorrow evening, I don't think there's going to be much to watch outside of NFL football, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be a great time for you guys to check out the Magic and see how they're playing basketball. Like I said, a lot of fundamental things are doing correctly on both sides of the ball, starting with great defense and translating to good offense and transition. Of course, again, getting to the free throw line and scoring. If they can do that against the Hornets, of course, they'll go ahead and improve to 11-5, which is what 12-5, my apologies, which is fully what I'm expecting. I just hope this team continues on fire, and I would love to see them continue to extend their win streak as they get closer and closer to the end of this in-game tournament throughout the regular season. So that's what's going on there in the NBA, guys. If you haven't been following what's going on there, obviously, still praying for all the injuries that have been suffered, for all these players, and not just in basketball, but of course college football and the NFL. There's been a lot of injuries in the month of November, if you guys have been following. A lot of injuries. So hoping all those guys will get all right. The sooner the better they come through, and then we'll be able to see teams at their full power and their full potential, right? Now then, last up for the evening is going to be college basketball, guys. Got a little bit of info coming out of there, guys. So let's start, obviously, with the Gators, as we're always going to do. Now, they played 13th ranked Baylor yesterday, okay, and it was a very close ball game. This is another big deal. It's the same way I feel about the football team. This team is right there, all right? Now, the Gators have had a pretty prestigious basketball team for the better part of the last 20-25 years, okay? They've been, a home for good players. They've been able to make the dance. They've been knocked out early a few times. They've started to get deeper, but it's like they're inching, one game at a time per year. And we'll take it because, realistically speaking, we're not a basketball college, but we are a very unique college, and we are one of the only colleges in college sports history to win an NBA, or not NBA, but a college basketball championship and a college football championship in the same year. I think we were also able to do a college basketball and a college baseball in the same year. I can't remember exactly if that was what happened or if we got knocked out early, but Florida, basically what I'm saying, has been a hub for talent no matter what sport you're playing, and it's something that's been very fun to watch, especially as a Gator myself. So big ups to the Gators. I know y'all fell short, but at least it's to 13th ranked Baylor. It was a 95-91 ball game. So like I said, Gators are right there on the cusp of greatness. They just got to continue to play. Next game is going to be against Wake Forest. They're unranked. That game comes to you Wednesday, November 29th at 7:15 p.m. Should be a solid basketball game. Looking forward to the Gators getting another one on the season as we inch closer to becoming a ranked team once again, and as we also get closer to March Madness, when everybody's bracket's going to start coming out, and when we see what happens there. The Noles, on the other hand, were able to upset number 18 Colorado. Now, the Gators played the Noles earlier this season in basketball and won. I think it was like 89-63 ball game. So for the Noles to get a turnaround and get an upset about a week later is actually a really big deal. Like I said, the upset came by the form of defeating, I should say, number 18 Colorado 77-71. Pretty handily defeat there that they were able to inflict on Colorado. So good job, Noles. Way to play. The next game for the Noles is going to come to you by way of Georgia, and that's going to be Wednesday, November 29th at 9:15 p.m. So it's not college football, all right, but still should be a good game. Florida State should be able to go ahead and beat Georgia in basketball. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. So go Noles in that game. I don't have a personal vendetta against the Noles. I don't like the Noles because we're rivals, okay? That it's like a healthy dislike, if that makes sense, guys. It's not like Ohio State. Ugh. That team just makes me sick. Like, oh my god, I can't stand Ohio State. Can't really stand Georgia either, for that matter. So yeah, I guess they fit in that bill as well. In any case, you get what I'm saying. So Golden Noles beat Georgia. Get another one under your belts. The best team in college football coming out, or college basketball, I should say. My apology, I beg your pardon. Coming out of the state of Florida is going to be Miami, though. Miami's ranked 10th right now. They were able to beat Kansas State. Score was 91-83. Like I said, they're the only ranked team in college basketball right now coming out of Florida. So if you want to see the best that basketball has to offer coming out of the state of Florida, you're going to have to watch Miami. Their next game is going to be against Kentucky. This is double ranked team game right here. So Kentucky's ranked 16th. SEC versus ACC here, another classic showdown. That game's going to be Tuesday, November 28th, 7:30 p.m. So you kind of getting the vibe here, right? Got a couple of games on Wednesday, got a couple of one game on Tuesday. So you're going to have back-to-back college basketball, some pretty good teams going at it. Oh, excuse me. Look forward to watching those games, or at least I'm going to try to watch them. We'll see what happens. Scheduling conflicts and things like that may come up, but if it's on, I'll have it on. I'll tell you like that, guys, and I'll get back to you next week with the score of those games. We'll see what happens as we get closer and closer, like I said, to the end of this year. We're about to have 1 foot into December, as I mentioned earlier, so let's get ready to wrap this year up and have a wonderful final month of the year as November closes. The next time I will be speaking to you will be in the month of December, so the conversation will get a little bit more edgy as we see where these teams are at heading into the final month. So that's what's going on, guys, in the world of sports here in the state of Florida. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for joining me on today's show. We'll be here same time, same place next week. Nothing less, nothing more. We'll talk the same things, and hopefully as we get closer to the better part of the holiday season, Christmas and New Year's and all that, we'll be able to have more to talk about, guys. But again, that's what's going on here. Thank you so much again for joining me. Spend time with your family. I hope you guys all had a happy Thanksgiving. I had a phenomenal one. Spent a lot of great time with my mom and my dad. They came over and had a great time with extended family as well. So, shout out to my family that's out there that I didn't get to see on Thanksgiving. I love you guys. I can't wait to see you guys next time, and I look forward to all the great food and the memories that we're going to be able to create, guys. I really hope that you're able to do the same with your family. I really hope that you guys spend your time wisely and stay safe, stay prayed up, and just above all, love on each other. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. The world is in turmoil. And I just hope I'm taking the edge off for you guys for about an hour, when you come listen to my show. So, again, thank you guys for joining me here. It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Same time, same place. My name is Corey Pujols. I've been your host for Palm Tree Sports Radio over on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.